Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. In light of recent events, and by that I mean all of the boosts and incentives for new players in Lost Ark, I thought to myself, hey, I'm gonna create an entire series of videos for the two new players that are joining our game. Now, if you're a new player to Lost Ark, on a serious note, nice to meet you. In today's video, we're gonna begin the series by talking about your very first steps in Lost Ark, boosts, events, and what is the best way for a new and returning player to start off in Arcasia. The first time you launch the game, you're gonna be asked to choose your region. Region choice is obviously based on where you live. However, you're not locked into one choice. If you're a Brazilian living in Europe, you can definitely choose South America, assuming you want to play with like-minded people or people that speak your language, and vice versa. A quick note on the two European regions, West and Central. Do not choose Europe West because that's quite dead, and many of the players who started out on Europe West have slowly migrated over to Europe Central. Server choice is not as important simply because the economy, the market, the auction house is shared across all servers in a specific region, but also the LFG, the party matching, the party finder system are all shared again across all of the servers in a region. The only couple of things that are mildly important in Lost Ark and are server specific are the guild you join, but every server will have a guild to accommodate you, and fighting world bosses. However, even the lowest populated server will still be able to kill a world boss. It's not the biggest of deals. Next is choosing your class, and I really want to give you the no BS reality of what's happening in the Western version in terms of classes. So we're going to talk about that in just a couple of days from now, but until then, don't worry about it. Choosing your first character is not necessarily your only and last character that you're going to have. So if you make a mistake with your first class choice, it's okay, you're gonna fix it down the road. Loading into the game is the first time when you can actually take part in one of the events designed for new players, and that one is the Story Express. This one requires a character that has not yet finished the story in the first ever zone called Retramis. If you're a brand new player, you can just select the character that you have. If you're a returning player, chances are that on your main character, you've already finished the very first zone in terms of story. So creating a new character, if you want to take part in this, is the way to go. Now, this one offers you rewards as you finish the story in various maps, all the way up until South Verne, which marks the end of this event, the end of the story, the end of the zone rewards, and also gives you the big batch of rewards for completing the whole event. The next event that I want to talk about is called the Mokoko Challenge. This one is available to any brand new player to the game, but also returning players who have been offline for longer than 30 days. It rewards you with a variety of interesting things, helpful things, so it's actually worth paying attention to. You have this icon next to your name and also on top of your HP bar. This is actually a buff that allows you to do 20% more damage to monsters and take 40% less damage as long as the buff is active. If you're a new player, the buff will stay active until one of your characters on that server reaches a gear score or an item level, as we call it, of 1370. The next event that I want to talk about is something that goes pretty good with the Story Express. This Hyper Express holds your hand and gives you gear honing materials and all sorts of other goodies as you progress through item levels all the way up to 1445. To be noted that the character you sign up with to the Hyper Express event also receives 4 free engravings. You still need accessories with the correct combat stats that you want to use for your class. This is cool for many reasons. Quite frankly, I wish I would have had a system like this when I started Lost Ark, but it's here for you now, and not only it helps you test various builds, both of the class builds, but also relieves some of the gearing up pressure while the event is ongoing. Worth mentioning, no matter when you watch this video, that there's almost always some sort of extra event besides the ones that I've just talked about. Right now, Spring 2023, we have the Naruni race event, which is something that anyone can participate in, earn tokens, and you also earn tokens by just doing regular content in the game, and eventually exchange them for a variety of goodies, which further helps you to progress with your gear. Also worth mentioning are the login rewards, which are almost always here, at least one track of them. the basic ones. And then on top of that, if you're a new player, you also have a new player login reward track, which adds even more sort of nice rewards and super helpful when you're at the beginning of your journey. Lastly, in terms of events, I would like to mention the new season of the ARK Pass, which is a battle pass system for Lost Ark. Comes around maybe 3 times every year, and you get again a lot of really nice rewards that are very helpful for not only for progression but also for horizontal content, which are all of the other things besides your gear in Lost Ark. The ARK Pass has 3 separate tracks. The left hand side is for free and available to everyone. The middle track costs $15 to unlock, and then the right hand side track costs $30 to unlock, but it also includes the middle track, so you get both of them, basically each of them $15, right? If I would be a brand new player, but with my knowledge right now, I would absolutely unlock the middle track if I would have $15 to just throw at Lost Ark, because the items that you get from this middle track only are worth much more if you would just translate your real money, these $15, into in-game gold and just buy these materials or these items separately from the auction house. If you're a brand new player, you might already be confused hearing about item level and so many different numbers. In Lost Ark, after reaching level 50, like in other MMORPGs, further zones and progress is unlocked by enhancing or honing your gear, as opposed to leveling up more, right? That's why we keep talking about it. The end game starts when you reach a gear score of 1302, and with that, you're in Punica. To begin your South Vern story, for example, and with that get the last rewards from the Story Express, you need to enhance or hone your gear to item level 1340. Just for perspective, item level 1445, which is where the Hyper Express leaves you, for example, and you get the final reward for it, means you're about 20% done with current max content requirement, and can take as few as 2 days to reach. Not only because of these boosts, but also all of the changes that have been made to the success rate and material costs, starting as early as level 50 and all the way to this week's changes up until item level 1445. Everything has been made a lot more accessible. Now let's finish up with the power passes. A power pass, the equivalent of a level boost, as I said, and there are various for sale, but there is also some for free. The ones that are for sale, at the character selection screen, you click the Power Pass button and you see a list of available options. Depending on how much story you have already finished with a specific character that is selected, these are the Power Passes that are available to that character. The first and the cheapest Power Pass, the North Vern one, takes a character and finishes all of the story for you up until including North Vern. The second one takes you one zone further, third one another zone further, etc. The last one is a South Vern Power Pass, which takes your character and finishes all of the story in the game for you and puts you at item level 1370. Please remember what I said during the Mokoko challenge segment. If you are a brand new player, then once a character on your server reaches item level 1370, you will lose access to the missions in the Mokoko challenge and the whole system overall. So this is not the best choice for a brand new player. However, the Punica Power Pass is a fantastic choice because it takes you to Punica, gives you item level 1302, which, as we discussed, is at the very beginning of the endgame tier, but at least you're in the endgame tier and farming those materials as opposed to something else, which is previous tier. In terms of free power passes, the moment one of your characters gets to North Vern and finishes the story there, it receives a mail with a free North Vern Power Pass. You take it from your mailbox, right-click it from your bag, and it disappears. It becomes bound to your account. Then back to character selection, create a character, select Power Pass, right-hand side menu. This is the one that hosts the free Power Passes. And then when you go to South Vern, you're going to have it available. This one boosts your second character basically to the same level as your original one is, because when you get the Power Pass, you've just finished the Vern story. The Power Pass does exactly that. Finishes the North Vern story and gives you an item level of 302. Once a second character finishes the North Vern story, that one receives a second free Vern Power Pass as well. So basically, if you've used your first free Vern Power Pass, you're just gonna get another so that you can have a third character at the same spot as your previous two. Another free Power Pass is right now an event, and you get a Punica Power Pass once one character on your server finishes the Punica story, and that is including a quest called Berver's Friend, which is a purple quest that marks the completion of Punica as a zone. The Punica Power Pass that you get for free works exactly the same as the North Ven Power Pass, and it brings another character to item level 1340 in Punica. In case you, for example, want to buy a paid Punica Power Pass, that one automatically marks all the story as complete, so you're gonna have a Punica Power Pass for free right away to use on a second class that you want to bring up to the beginning of tier 3 content. Now, before we go, I just wanna put myself in your shoes. Pretend I'm a new player. Let's say something happens to my account, but I still have my knowledge, right? But I start all over. What I would do with all of these events and boosts that we talked about: create my favorite class, apply to Story Express, get myself naturally to level 50, enjoy, right? The scenery and look at my skills and read and stuff like that. I would play all of this myself because there is no one that actually spends time or stays there for so long that you would maybe get to meet them in a matchmaking. It's a solo game all the way up until Punica, simply because there are so many incentives and changes to the way you enhance your gear that it's 100% success rate basically, and the materials that it costs are very few. I would do that, get to 50, I get a free Vern Power Pass. I wouldn't even use it because maybe I don't know what class I want next, so I'm just gonna keep it until I learn more about the game. Continuing on my main class, I would start honing my gear, getting better item level, unlocking new zones to finish my story, and in just a couple of days, I would already be ready for Punica. In Punica, I would use my Punica Power Pass after completing the story, because that one's really exciting, right? I get another character to the same spot as my tier 3 early character is at. Here at the beginning of my journey in tier 3, I would start discovering the game and taking on purpose maybe 2 to 3 weeks. During these 2 to 3 weeks, I would absolutely join a guild and make some friends, because the best way for a new player to get started with content in Lost Ark until you get to build an acceptable looking character profile is by just playing with your friends, with your guildies. I would take my time to learn, I would take my time to build my roster level. I know that it matters later on for very many people. So all of the rewards that I get from the daily login rewards, the Story Express, the ARK pass if I have it, etc., the Naruni event, I would use those rapport gifts that I get and go all the way back to Retramis, start building rapport with NPCs as you go through stages and build up friendships. You get a lot of roster XP, which increases your roster level by a lot. Also, those NPCs that are in those zones are part of the Adventure Tome collection, the map completion. So map completion plus the actual rapport system will just give me a lot of roster level to begin with by simply delivering gifts that I get for free anyway. That's what I would do. Obviously, I would play the game, both of my characters, do the content. I would try to look into playing the tower. The tower also gives you, both of the towers, tier 1 and tier 2, gives you a lot of roster XP. So I would do that on both of my characters to get even more. Couple of weeks later, when I'm a little bit more established, I would just, like to get into the game. Use the Hyper Express, end of Mokoko challenge, and just become a normal player in Lost Ark.
Ew.
Am I dead?
Shield me!
Oh, we're fine.
Oh, Bing chilling, Bing chilling.
Who in their right man dodges there? What the fuck?
But why are you going left?
Who actually dodges there? What the fuck?
You guys like it tight, huh? What the fuck?
Oh.
And I wish you lots of fun in game. Try out these events if you're interested in. Next video in just a couple of days from now, the reality on choosing your class as a new player in 2023 in the Western Lost Ark. Until then, stay safe and take it easy.